Hello, I'm Ashton, intern here at the Office of County Supervisor John Gioia, and I have the honor to be with Andrew Melendez, a former intern here at this office and the president of the Contra Costa Young Democrats. Welcome here, Andrew.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a great honor to be here speaking with you today as well.
No problem. So let's break into this interview. I want to start off by telling the viewers about kind of your personal background. What got you to the point you are here today? So could you tell us about background, where you're from, education, etc.?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, my name is Andrew Melendez. I'm a lifelong Richmond resident, proud Salvadoran American, second generation American as well. Also currently, right, as you mentioned, president of Contra Costa Young Democrats, also community organizer with a group called Reimagine Richmond as well. Happy to talk a little bit more about those in detail later on. But, I think my background, I went to St. Mary's College in Moraga, studied political science and sociology. There I had a really, really amazing opportunity to not only learn about a lot of the social injustices that were happening around my community, but during that period I was also able to get connected with the Office of Supervisor John Gioia, get connected with Robert Rogers, and so many incredible folks who I consider my mentors and people who put me on this path towards community engagement and community organizing. I think I'm happy to chat a little bit more about that, but I think that's maybe a good place that I can start on.
Wow, most definitely. And it's truly amazing to hear about all the great things you've been doing and kind of how this internship got you and kind of helped you in that way. So that's what I want to talk about is how did you interning and being here at this office, being around John and Sonia and Robert, help you in the things you've been doing?
Totally. Well, just to give you some history, I reached out to the office here back when I was in college, but when I was also working as a cashier at Joanne Fabrics. It was actually by pure chance that I was able to connect with an amazing person named Shirley McGee, who was connected with the office, who knew John, and who just met me and thought that I was a great person and that I would be a great fit for this office as an intern. So eventually, I found my way to the office. I met Robert, and Robert really just took me on as a mentor, as someone who was really invested and saw something in me and saw my potential and gave me the opportunity to see the county in a different way, right? I think for a long time, I knew about politics and I was studying politics, but I didn't really know it as in depth as I do now. And a lot of it was because through this internship, I was able to see so many different folks and get connected with so many different organizations and go to different events and really just see the county for what it was. And I think for me as an intern and as someone who was really looking to find what I wanted to do in college, it was such an invaluable experience, right? And so everyone in the office, right, Robert, Sonia, Tanya, John, really just gave me that opportunity to get involved, learn about politics, also learn about a lot of life skills as well, like those intangible things that you don't learn in school. And it really helped me kind of get that very well-rounded education on the county, on politics, on leadership, on organizing. And so that's kind of what brought me to why I do the work now today.
Yeah, and I think that really emphasizes what this internship is really about, and what makes it great is it really teaches you invaluable life skills and just skills overall that you won't really learn in other places. But even beyond that, it teaches you and it gives you the opportunities to be around great people, from Robert to people from all other organizations. I was able to speak with Kendra Carr and other Peter Kim from the Contra Costa Racial Equity Department. Really amazing people.
Yeah.
And this internship gave me the opportunity to do that. And it's really interesting hearing that you worked at Joanne. Sadly, it's closed here in El Cerrito.
It's gone now,
It is sadly gone. But it's amazing to show that you were at a local staple in the local business that sadly isn't here anymore. So I guess as you talked about a little briefly about your community organizing and what you've been doing, how did this internship really help you when you're connecting with other people, connecting with constituents? Because community organizing is all about being around the people, helping them, and connecting with them. So how did this internship kind of guide you and help you?
Totally. I mean, I got to see it in practice here at the office, right? I think one of the really most valuable things that I learned here was just how much care this office and the interns and everyone took to meeting constituent needs and just being there in the community and being there for the community. I remember when I was in the thick of the internship, almost every week I would be going out to community events with the staff, with John, with Robert, and we would just be out and just talk to people and see how different folks and how different organizations are, doing the work for our community, right? I think one of the big highlights in particular was really just learning about, I believe it was the Safe Return Project, and just learning about some of the work that they do around like supporting folks who are formerly incarcerated and providing them opportunities to come back into the community. I think, those kinds of organizations really opened my eyes to just how much good organizing can be for a community, and I think having that opportunity to learn about it was so crucial for me. But I think beyond that, right, I think just also, as I mentioned, meeting people and responding to people and honestly just connecting people with resources is such a big part of organizing, and I saw that here at the office, right? One of the things that I remember Robert told me was that like no one in the office would ever miss a call. If someone contacts the office and asks for support, someone would always be there to answer and support. And so I think that kind of instilled something in me, right? And instilled the importance of reaching out to every person and giving every single person the respect they deserve and the resources that they deserve, whether it's a quick 5-minute call or it's a call that lasts for hours and hours, right? I think every person deserves to be connected with the best resources, and everyone deserves the most respect. And so I think I learned a lot about that and more during my time here. And I think that's what really kind of instilled a lot of those like really important values that I took with me later on as I got more into organizing out of college.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I want to especially talk about and emphasize the part of the phone calls. It sounds like a really niche and non-special thing, but as someone that's been taking lots of them during this internship, it's a really valuable experience to be able to talk to constituents all from around this district and all from around this county. I just got a call yesterday from someone in Alameda County, wrong county, but still, it's about picking up the phone and talking to people and really hearing what their needs are. And it's really the best way to talk to people that live around you and live with you that you may never interact with.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really curious about how did you really get your start in Democratic politics and as the president of the Young Dems?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of it started here, right? I think one of the first things that I did when I was an intern was I was actually able to go and visit and be a part of the mayoral debates that were happening in 2022 here in the city of Richmond. And from there was really kind of my first time learning about citywide politics and learning about, honestly, just politics as a whole within the county. And so that kind of opened my eyes to how accessible, access to leadership and organizing was within our politics and our political system. And I think that's what kind of inspired me to want to get more involved. And so, from that moment on, I learned about the Contra Costa Young Democrats. I learned that they were, doing lots of great work around the county, advocating for racial justice, advocating for economic justice, and educational justice as well. And I got involved, right? Wow. And it was as simple as that. I just kind of followed them on Instagram. I went to the events, and I felt really scared to show up to the first event, but I showed up, and it was one of the greatest decisions that I ever made in my life, because it, opened up that pathway to learn about county politics, or learn about youth politics, honestly, as well, in a whole different way, right? And I was able to get more involved, and eventually, ran for president and got elected. But I mean, all of that wouldn't have started if I hadn't just opened myself out to being out in the community and going to events and going to different mayoral debates and forums that kind of showed me what politics was like and what it could be. And so for that, I'm really grateful that I took that first step.
Wow. And I hear a lot, and that's something which truly is amazing about self-determination. He came and contacted this office for an internship. He came and went for the mayoral debates, contacted the Young Dems. He's the one, doing the stuff to really shape his future. And I kind of want to ask that, what really internally and overall kind of motivates you so much as a young person from college to high school to really get in these spaces and get active and share your opinion and your voice?
I think the biggest thing that keeps me going is honestly just recognizing that there's not many spaces where young folks are able to have a voice, right? Historically, right, youth voices have been one of the most underrepresented in politics in general, right? And so I think, knowing that and knowing that despite that, I still want to do what I can to represent my community and fight for justice, I think that's what's been really keeping me going, right? I know that although now we're actually seeing lots of amazing youth leaders come up
Yes, we
around West
are.
County in particular. Shout out to Cameron Sasai and Devin Murphy over in Pinole, and also Alexander Walker Griffin as well in Hercules, right? We're really inspiring a new generation of leaders who are, not taking everything that's happening and just letting it happen, right? These are leaders who are really standing up and saying, okay, we know that there's not that much youth representation in our community. How can we change that, right? What do we do? What do we do about it? Let's do something about it. And I think that for me, just being able to be connected with all these amazing leaders and just learning about their story and learning about what they stand for, I think really inspires me, right? Because I know it's not just me, right? It's not just myself as the only young person fighting for change. There's so many other youth leaders, whether they're elected or they're in organizing positions or they're activists as well. There's so many youth leaders in our community that are doing incredible work, and I think that keeps me wanting to fight more every day.
Yeah, and that's a great motivation. And I love how he emphasized he's not the only one. There's so many great young local leaders. Like you mentioned, the great Mayor Pinole, who's a really young guy, really doing great, amazing stuff. And we're here in the office of a local leader, in John Gioia, who, quite frankly, isn't the youngest. But what do you think other local leaders like John and others can do to continuously teach and mentor and uplift people, young people that want to get involved in our civic engagement, politics in our society?
I mean, I think it's happening right now. I think I see in this office, and I think I'm seeing in so many different other spaces around the county, and specifically here in Richmond as well, people are really opening up to the potential of youth leadership. And I think by having leaders in positions of power allow young people to be in these kinds of spaces like we are today, and allow young people to have access to going to supervisor meetings or being in meetings with different leaders and being able to learn about politics in that really, really detailed way. I think that's when we're able to really support our youth. Because again, we know that politics and leadership is often really inaccessible, and it's often sometimes really scary as well for young people, because a lot of us think that this isn't a space that's made for us, when in fact it should be, and it is. And I think, like you said, I think having leaders like Supervisor Gioia, leaders across the county who are opening the doors for young people and really not just having them be in these spaces, but also letting them like really thrive and grow and build up their leadership. I think that long-term investment in young people is really what is needed, and I'm really happy that we're seeing that here in West County.
Yeah, and West County is a county that pioneers in so many different things, and youth leadership is really one of them. And in my opinion, and what I've seen from my peers, is that there's a lot of political apathy, and not even partisanly, but just overall in civic engagement, right? And it could probably due to the political polarization going on in our world. So, kind of, what would you say to young people that are more apathetic, that aren't really involved, that don't really see their place of? What do you say to them to get involved in this process in our government and in our community?
Totally. I mean, one of the biggest things that I've learned during my time getting involved in politics as a young person is that a lot of young folks think that politics doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? That apathy, that kind of disassociating with politics, although I understand it, right? I know that right now things are happening at the federal level that are really scary. And I think a lot of our young folks think that because of that, they can't do anything about it. And why should I put my energy into something that I have no control over?
Yeah.
But that's what they want us to think, right? I think the reality is that young people should care about politics because it is so deeply personal, and it impacts us in every form of our lives, right? Whether it's reproductive health, whether it's immigrant rights, right? Whether it's economic justice, the ability to afford homes, the ability to pursue education, right? There's so many ways in which politics plays such a vital role in each of our lives. And even though there are things happening at the federal level, and sometimes we can't control everything, right? It really falls on us to find what we can control and what we can advocate for. And I think that's what makes, county politics and city politics so beautiful, because here we can have that control, and we do have a say over what we want and what we want our community and our cities to invest in. And so, it also just helps kind of give us that sense of control and that sense of security, knowing that we can do something about it as well. So definitely to any young folks that are watching, please care about politics. I know a lot of us do, and a lot of us show it in different ways,
Yeah,
right?
they do.
Maybe we don't go to city council meetings, but we reshare information on
Yep,
social
on
media
social media.
that we care about, right? Or we talk to our friends and we talk to our families about politics and policies, and those are just as important as well. But the important thing is that we engage in
Most
politics, we engage in these kinds of discussions, because that's how we keep conversations going.
It sure is. And you kind of attest to and talked about on a federal level of what's happening. That's obviously affecting what's happening in this county and in this office of John Gioia. So kind of what is your role as a community organizer, but also as the president of the Contra Costa Young Dems to fight against, but also be a community advocate for the people, especially in immigration, that are going through a hard time due to the federal administration?
Totally. Well, my actual work with Reimagine Richmond, we do a lot of work around Know Your Rights workshops and educational trainings for immigrant community. We've been doing it since last year, and I think you're totally right in that many of our community, especially here in Richmond, right, because we have such a amazing and growing immigrant population here in Richmond in particular, but a lot of them feel really scared about what's happening. And during my time doing Know Your Rights trainings in schools and in churches and in community spaces, we've really been hearing a lot about how our immigrant community feels scared to go out in public or feels scared to send their children to school. And that's a really disheartening thing, right? And it's a really big thing that we have to grapple with. But again, talking to what your point is, we still need to continue to do this kind of work because we know how important it is to educate our community on Know Your Rights. It's so important to provide resources for our immigrant community because we know it's working, right? One thing that I heard from, I think it was director of ICE or something like that, when they were making comments about what was happening in California, is that the ICE, I think it was the ICE leadership, someone in ICE leadership said that they were actually upset that so many people in California knew what their rights are because it made their jobs more difficult. And I think for me, that's a massive win because we know that the education that we're doing, the outreach that's happening at the county level, the city level, in the neighborhood level, right? It's making a difference, right? And so, it's just about continuing that, and I think to bring on what I'm doing with the Young Dems as well, is we actually recently had our Vice President Laura Patch speak actually on behalf of the Young Dems at a rally over in Central County, talking about this very thing, talking about immigration, talking about things happening at the federal level, but reminding everyone that we still have to stand in solidarity and that each of us play a different role in protecting our community, in particular immigrant community. And so, the work is being done, right? And I think regardless of things that are happening, regardless of how scary things get, we have to continue fighting because we know that that's the best way that we can protect one another.
Yeah. And that really touches home, right? As someone whose father immigrated here from Haiti over 30 years ago and picked corn and different stuff in Florida in the hot sun, and one day went to Cornell University and now works for a union to a better future. It really hits home to hear the things you guys are doing to protect these families that are really the epicenter of our community and of our country. They're the ones that really are doing the hard work that we take for granted every day. So to hear what the Young Dems and Reimagine Richmond is doing to protect them, because they're such a big part of who we are in our community, is really amazing. I guess my next question is, as we talked about in a world of such polarization, out of a world of somewhat, I feel like darkness and gloom, especially now more than ever, kind of what keeps you grounded to be positive, to continuously think about the future, and to still be a jolly guy as we see you here today?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I think a lot of it is just about maintaining optimism and hope that we'll take care of one another. I think when I see young leaders like yourself, young leaders like all the amazing interns here at the office, it really just reminds me that, again, I'm not alone in this fight, right? It's not just me and it's not just you. It's our community. It's people of all different walks of life, of different ages, of races, of ethnicities, of economic backgrounds who are coming together right now in this time that is so crucial, and standing in solidarity for one another. And again, it's not just immigrant rights, right, but reproductive health as well, educational access to education, right? These are all such important things that we're fighting for right now. And right, just knowing that again, I'm not the only one, that there's a community behind me, that there are people that I can rely on, that there's leaders who are fighting for us. I think that's what gives me hope. And I hope for anyone out there who feels that same kind of sense of
Yeah.
gloom and doom that, we are fighting together. And each one of us has the ability and the capacity to step up in any way we can to make change happen.
Yeah. And we're not, we as a community aren't fighting alone. There's people from all walks of life, as you said, all across the country and in our community that are doing small things and big things to fight in many different ways for many different issues. And I think now more than ever, we just need to come together as people for what's right in our society. So I guess as we're kind of recapping and ending this a little bit, any updates of what the Young Dems is currently doing? Any events? Any things to look forward to? I want to obviously shout out that. And any things that Reimagine Richmond and you guys are doing? Any town halls or what's the update?
Yeah, we'll definitely just love to plug our Instagrams. If you're interested, any young folks who want to get involved with their group with Contra Costa Young Democrats, please follow us on Instagram at Coco Young Dems on Instagram. And if you'd like to support with our immigrant rights efforts as well, right, feel free to reach out to my work with Reimagine Richmond. We are Reimagine Richmond on Instagram. We're always, doing walks actually every week around different businesses, around different community spaces in the city. We're passing out Know Your Rights materials. We're passing out posters showing that we're in solidarity with our immigrant community. And there's so much happening, and there's so many ways to get involved. And so anyone out there who wants to get involved, it's Coco Young Dems and Reimagine Richmond on Instagram.
Yeah, and follow them. I follow them, Coco Young Dems. They need to follow Reimagine Richmond. Awesome. They have great content, and they do really great stuff every single day. And yeah, definitely check them out. It was an honor to have you, Andrew. I learned a lot. It was a great discussion. I'd love to speak to you again. And it really gave me hope of I feel like in this gloomy, dark future, we have great young people who are really the ones bringing the light, who are really the ones pushing back against what's not the best in our society. And I think, young people always say young people are the future, which is true. But I think now more than ever, this shows young people are the present and the now, and they're the one at the epicenter to fight against what's going to affect them now, not in the future. So I want to thank you for checking out this episode, and definitely follow Coco Young Dems and Reimagine Richmond. Thank you, Andrew Melendez.
Thank you so much, Ashton. I appreciate it.
Thank you.